MMA Rants and Raves, Shane Carwin versus Frank Mir, UFC 111 for the interim heavyweight title belt. Guys, I'm sorry, I just had to do this. I had to do it now because, my goodness, I was just blown away and absolutely shocked about what I just saw here in this fight. Let me just talk about the fight a bit. Let me go over it. Fight starts out, the guys start dancing around, looking for position. And it was just 4:24, a few seconds into the fight, and Mir attacks with a combo. Carwin ducked under. I saw it. He really didn't make contact with that combination that much, and he ducked under it, and he got one hook under the arm, and that's the key, guys. When you have the underhook, when you duck under a punch and the guy's able to grab you, that's a wrestler's move, because when you have your arms under the guy's elbow, when you have your arms over someone, you can't push with your upper body, you have to push with your lower because you have your legs in back of you. And that's what he did. And he was able to take me and just physically just fling him against the cage. I mean, he was just almost picking him up and just pushing him there. And keep in mind, if you look at these two guys, I think Mir may even outweigh him by 5 pounds. It was, up and down. These guys cut weight, they add weight by the time of the fight. Anyway, he ducks under it. Then he starts throwing those short punches. And, on paper, you would think guy presses up against the cage and throws some short punches. It's not going to be that much of an effect. But this guy has knocked people out with those type of punches. So those punches are pretty dangerous. So he had him up against that cage, and he was throwing punches. And it just seemed that when Mir was trying to cover up, hold his hand to prevent getting hit, pick up his head, he started with knees. And I was thinking, where do you see that type of game plan all the time? And then it came to my thoughts. I said, this is classic, textbook Randy Couture. He's doing the Randy Couture on this guy. Mix it with knees and punches, a combination of the two, control your opponent, beat him up against the cage. And that's what he was doing. What a brilliant game plan by Shane Carwin coming into this fight. And then what happens is you're talking about he has him there for a minute and a half, and Mir can't do a thing. Mir is pressed up against that cage, and he cannot do a thing to get out of it. He is being brutalized, beaten up against the cage, all right? And Carwin is dominating. And what happens? The ref comes and separates now. I'm like, what the heck are you doing? Why are you separating these guys for? I mean, he was dominating the guy, It looked like he could have finished him right there. He separates them. I mean, why did he do that? Because the crowd was booing? I mean, come on. I just did not agree with that at all. I don't know what you guys think. He separates them, and then what happens is he gives Mir a new lease on life. What a huge break for Frank Mir. Now Frank Mir can think of a strategy. I mean, he's a cerebral fighter, and maybe he'll come up with something else now. He got him out of that death trap that he was in. So what happens? So Mir comes firing back. He throws another combination. It was a nice combination against Carwin. And Carwin backpedals. And then Mir stops the momentum and then tries to grapple. Mistake. What happens? Carwin, the bigger, stronger guy, reverses the grappling. He's the wrestler. He grapples Mir, pushes him up against the cage, and goes back to plan A. The same thing. Classic, textbook Randy Couture. Roman Greco, clinch, dirty boxing, mix it with knees. And then something absolutely amazed me. I just couldn't believe it. He threw an uppercut. And again, this is a short punch. Mir's head just popped back like a slingshot effect. That's how hard this guy hits. His punches are hard, fast, and furious. My goodness. His knees, his legs just buckled under him. He crumbled to the ground, and then the onslaught really came. He was pounding. And let me tell you something. I don't know who in the world said this guy was slower or slow. This guy is anything but slow. His fists are fast, dangerous, and brutal. I mean, this guy hits like I've never seen anything like it. In the style that this guy has, how you could knock guys out with short punches. I mean, the hardest hitter that I know of is Fedor, but his punches are Superman punches. I mean, he puts everything into them. Of course, he has the accuracy to hit. I mean, but just here's the thought, guys. Imagine if this guy was able to really unload. Imagine if he's able to work on a Superman punch. Imagine what that would do. Might be enough to knock out King Kong. I mean, this guy's punches are absolutely lethal. Anyway, towards the end of the fight, Mir just crumbles down. He starts beating him. I mean, he tries to hold his hand and protect himself, and it just didn't do any good. He just kept on hitting him with the other hand, and he was controlling him. He wasn't looking for any submissions. He could have gone for a rear naked choke or something, but he was just doing what was working for him the entire fight. And then there's another thing. I didn't understand why the ref didn't stop that fight, because Mir was out. I mean, that was unbelievable. And here's something else I wanted to mention. At the end of the fight, when Carwin got the victory, they show Brock Lesnar in the audience laughing. I mean, I don't know what this guy was laughing about, because he's got nothing to laugh about. This is not a joking matter. This guy is a dangerous, very serious, extremely talented individual. And he has got his work cut out for him. And I'm going to tell you why. Let's analyze this for a second. He's going to be facing Lesnar, obviously, next. So, think about it. Lesnar's last fight was against Frank Mir. And if you remember that fight, he was fighting against, what, a 245-pound Frank Mir? So, what I'm trying to do here is I'm comparing, these two Frank Mirs that we've seen, and the one that Lesnar faced and the one that Carwin faced now. Lesnar faced the smaller Frank Mir, and it took him 148 into the second round to defeat him. Carwin faced a 265-pound Frank Mir, new and improved Frank Mir, and was able to finish him 348 into the first. And you know what? It was even less than that. It was about 2 minutes and change before the first. As far as I'm concerned, that fight was over. That fight was over before they separated him. I mean, there was nothing that Mir could have done. It was just a matter of time before he would have gotten those uppercuts going and throwing those knees. And Frank Mir was hurt. Yeah, I think he was already hurt with the first sequence. It's just an unbelievable performance by Shane Carwin. This guy is a dangerous dude. I mean, he's 35 years old now. I don't know where this guy has been all these years. He could have gone very far, and it's not too late. But this guy is a serious individual in the heavyweight division, a serious contender. And let me tell you something. Like I said, Brock Lesnar, he has his work cut out for him. This is not going to be an easy fight for him. With all the talent that he has, like I said, it's very easy to compare these two because they're very alike. And it's also easy to compare them because they've both faced Frank Mir. But Carwin faced the bigger and new and improved Frank Mir and finished him a lot earlier than Lesnar did. So it's going to be an interesting fight. Can't wait to see it. And like I said, blown away with Shane Carwin, and this heavyweight division just gets more interesting as time goes by. Anyway, guys, I'd like to know what you think about the future matchup between Shane Carwin and Brock Lesnar, what you thought about this fight, and everything else going on in mixed martial arts. So please leave those comments. Please subscribe, rate this video. Thank you for tuning in.